forget what I was just reading this weekend, but it's like, oh, I know who I read it from. This guy, Andy Elliott. Um, this is how you introduce yourself. You're like, hey, I'm Jordy, and you put your hand to your heart. And there's studies proven that that actually has I don't know, subliminal positive effect for you when they're like, oh wow, he's like, I don't know. Roy, are you here?
I'm here.
There he is, Mr. Roy. Is it Bene
It
or
is.
Bene? Bene, right? You got the accent on your last E, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be
But
cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't think so. I've heard it all.
anyway, thanks for coming on, Roy. So Roy and I have been chatting for the last couple weeks, and just is such an incredible guy. And I was excited when he um, offered to come on and talk about two things that he's working on. So he served in the Navy, and he'll tell us a little bit about that. But his career has been on also in cyber security, but he's also very active in this organization called Team Rubicon, which is a disaster relief organization started by veterans. I think, is it Jake Wood? Do I have that right?
Yes.
He's the founder, started, I don't know, maybe you can tell, I don't know, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Anyway, they follow disasters around the world with teams of veterans and civilians. And I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, I was like, man, I got to do something. And I took a week and I went down to the Panhandle after one of those hurricanes with Team Rubicon, and it was just the most incredible experience of that I had. I was so fortunate to have it, um, and so Roy has been very active in this group, and I wanted him to talk a little bit about what they do, because as you guys get out and you get your jobs, and some of you I know want to stay involved with the military community, I thought this was an incredible organization for you to do that, and they pay for all expenses. They fly you to where you're going, and it's just an incredible experience with other, um, mostly with military veterans, and then a handful of civilians join them as well. But anyway, Roy's from Dallas, works for the city of Irvine, Texas, as their CISO there, and went to Virginia Tech. And like I said, just an incredible guy. So, Roy, thanks for coming on today, man. I appreciate it.
Very welcome. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Tell everyone a little bit about your experience in the Navy and growing up, and what was that like for you when you served?
Yeah, so like I guess every, young person going to the military, I went for, fortune and glory, right? One of those things, travel the world, just get away from home and do all that, serve my country, make a difference. So I did that and was fortunate enough to serve with some of the finest people I've ever met in my life and ever will know. I was in for 13 years, and in that time, we started out. I went in '94, so I started out as a radioman, and we merged with data processing technicians around 2001, 2000, and then that kind of put us into the RM21 status, and then we were IT, so information system techs. And I was with SWIC, went through that stuff, and met some of again, just a whole another group of really fine people. So when I got out, when I did the transition assistance, I really didn't take advantage of much of the veteran network or anything like that. Like anybody else separating, I guess I was, not glad to be away, but if I didn't see a ship again for a long time, then I was okay with that. So, but that lasted about a year, and then I really started missing the structure and the black and white, and you never know how good you have it, in the military until you're out in the civilian world. But yeah, other than that, I mean, everything was, Navy was great. I mean, I learned a lot of technology. It was a really good time to be in. We were going to HF, SHF, EHF on ships. I did a lot of the crypto, loading the crypto on the jets and the boats and stuff like that for SWIC, and did a whole bunch of those things. So, but once I got out, transitioned in the civilian career, um, I've been out now since 2007, so it's been a while. But making my bones in the civilian world it took a lot more grit than it probably should have. If I would have engaged, this wasn't here. Everything you have on LinkedIn now, Jordy, 7 Eagle, all this stuff wasn't here when I got out. So it would have been much easier for me to do so had this been around. But once a few years later, I really started re-engaging in the community. And I'm a classically trained chef. It's one of my PTSD outlets that my therapist had recommended to me. And so I went through and Le Cordon Bleu, went through school, and I started a commercial kitchen up in Massachusetts and ended up just engaging with a huge, huge veteran network up there. And it was just absolutely wonderful. And it really got me wanting to serve again. So I started going with found Team Rubicon. I just kind of happened to find that from a guy who was there. He started telling me the story. He was one of the original guys in Haiti when Team Rubicon was first founded. So they were founded about between 15 and 16 years ago, when that hurricane, that big thing in Haiti hit. And that was their very first disaster operation mission. Jake Wood and the guys went out, and they just did such a good job that people started asking them back, and and then their crew got bigger and it got bigger. So, but they're made of entirely first responders and veterans. And matter of fact, I'm going this week to their office, headquarters here in Euless, Texas. So I'm going to go there, and we have to get some of the tech kits ready for the victims of the Kerr County flooding in Texas and all that good stuff. So we're going to be getting a lot of the tech kits, satellite phones, communication, two-way radios, all that kind of stuff, wireless. We're going to be getting those kits ready for the field leaders and everything, and shipping those out to those guys. So, but serving with those guys is one of the, it's been one of the biggest honors of my life. Every time you go on a mission, every time you go on a deployment, you meet people who have lost everything. You meet people who have, you really realize you don't have a lot of problems. These people have lost everything, and their stories are tragic, but they're so grateful to have you there. And they're just really, really wonderful people. Again, just so thankful for the help. And the guys that you work with, the veterans and stuff that are there, you're not dealing with amateurs. So these guys are trained in disaster response and those things, like many of you are. So if you're looking to do some good and really just meet a really, really expansive network of veterans and just first responders and those kind of things that can open doors for you, Team Rubicon's a really good place to be.
Yeah. I'm going to play a quick promo video of theirs, Roy, and then we can ask you some questions about it, because you've been on, how many trips have you been on with them?
Oh, this will be my probably 12th.
Oh, wow. Has anyone on the call been on? I don't know if you could even be eligible if you're active duty to go on. Do they have active duty participants, or is
Absolutely.
it?
Yeah, as long as you're not actively deployed and you're not violating your,
your
perimeter, 300-mile perimeter on your duty station.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let me play. If anyone has been on a trip with them, put in the chat so we can get to you. But I just want to play this quickly, because
I'd love to see if there's anybody here that's been
about Team Rubicon. I think it's I thought this one looked good. Come on, Windows. Let me do this one.
Team Rubicon was founded by veterans, and one of the things they borrowed from their military experience was having a battle rhythm for the day, to ensure their gray shirt volunteers know where they need to be and when, so they can make the most of their time helping communities pick up after a disaster strikes.
So in operation, you're going to run on a cadence. It's going to be lights on, 6 o'clock in the morning. You're going to have time to get breakfast, and then it's time to make the magic happen. You're going to have a morning brief.
Morning!
Where you're going to be assembled, with the team that you'll be with for a day. You'll have a leadership team tell you the scope of the operation.
Strike teams Alpha, Bravo, Charlie will conduct debris removal.
Check your kits. Make sure you have everything you need.
This is how you're going to be safe.
The power lines are everywhere. Be aware of that.
And then you're going to load up, and you're going to move out. You're getting in the truck with a small team of 4 or 5 people.
You ain't getting it, you love it.
and you're driving out to meet the homeowner. Strike team leader will give you the scope of the operation. There might be a felled tree or a mucked out house.
Okay, so what we'll do is once we assess,
And everyone will put the sweat equity into it.
Gonna get hot.
Then you'll pack it up and come home. And one of the neat things about a deployment with Team Rubicon is it doesn't end when you get out of the field, because a really important component of it is continuing to be with that larger team. One of the events that we have is something called Campfire.
Hey, y'all, listen up. I'm glad I'm here with you guys, all right?
At the end of the day, campfires are great for connecting people and connecting the experience, across any gray shirt that's there.
Very cool. That's pretty indicative. That looked just like the one I went on.
Yep, it is. Campfires and everything. They still do it. I'm sure they always will. But yeah, it's just a great opportunity to meet people. And all you have to do is get on their site. You got to so there's a lot of things that you have to do if you want to, you have to pass a background check. You have to get deployable is what they call it. So to get your gray shirt, you've got to be deployable. You've got to go through a ton of training. You got to go through there's a bunch of, just as you can imagine, right? Because like he said, you have a battle plan for every day. So no two operations are the same, even though they have kind of the same battle plan. No two operations are the same. So if you're dealing with some, things in the south as opposed to the north, if you're dealing with tornadoes versus hurricanes, if you're, there's a lot of different types of damage that are done, flooding, versus just natural disasters with wind, right? There's a lot of risks and a lot more things. So my function in Team Rubicon, I'm actually just about to finish my SC 100, and that'll be field leadership. So I'll be one of the field leaders, hopefully. But I work with a guy named Dan now, and he's coming in from, I think it's Colorado, and he comes in like once a month, and he runs the shop down here in the tech in Texas. Yeah, it's a great group. I mean, these guys are always. He said, "You, it's about to get hot." You heard what he said in the video, and it is hot. I mean, it is always. So it's always something to do. There's always, there's never, if you have to look around, what I always say to people is, if you have to look around and ask who does it, it's probably you.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, it's a great group. And like, and as long as you're, a veteran or a first responder, you are welcome to join. Just all you have to do is log on the website, enroll, get training. One of the main things I can encourage for you guys is to make sure that you go to the local training. So there's actual training seminars that are held locally in your area. So you can go, but they pay for the plane tickets. They pay for, if you're going to drive, they reimburse you for gas, all that kind of stuff. So it's not luxury accommodations. I mean, you're in a, then a lot of times you're on, maybe on a cot in a tent. It really just depends on, where you are, but they always have accommodations for you.
And unfortunately, there's no shortage of these events, right? Because there's disasters happening all the time. And
unfortunately, but if you don't get picked for an event, don't take it personally, because they have an overwhelming amount of volunteers. Kerr County, I've yet to go to Kerr County. I've been working in the tech office here, doing all the tech kits and stuff like that, doing all the stuff, getting all these new devices that we have in Intune, getting everything in the cloud. I'm actually showing these guys how to get all these devices into the cloud under our mobile device management right now. So, so that's one of the big things we're doing. But if you don't get picked for an event, if you don't get mobilized, don't take it personally. And there's tons of events to apply to. So.
And you get to pick the one you want to go to. You don't get assigned. They let you.
So if you sign up with them, they actually text you and email you. So they'll text you and say, "Hey, can you deploy with so-and-so operation in, North Carolina or wherever it might be, wherever the nearest disaster is." And the people who are local and can drive to the site are always going to get picked first.
Because it's a little cheaper for them. Yeah,
exactly. Because they are a nonprofit. So
can you talk a little bit about what has it been like for you to give back with an organization like Team Rubicon, whether it's disaster relief or any other volunteer organization that you choose to get involved with? Why is that so important once you start your 9-to-5 job to have like an outlet like that and to continue that service? Like, what has that meant to you?
Well, if how do I say this the best way? If I were to lose my job today, none of those people are going to come to my funeral. None of those people are going to take care of my wife. None of those people are going to take care of my children. You're valuable at a job till you're not. And that's okay. I mean, it's how we make our bread, right? That's every day. That's what we do. We go out, we pay the bills. We hope to do some good and make some, lasting and effective change. And we hope to make an impression, and we hope to, leave the place a little bit better than we found it. I mean, that's what we all hope for. But at the end of the day, you have to do what fulfills you. Because if you are not fulfilled, you'll never get fulfilled in just your job. That's a myth. I've never seen that happen yet. A job is a job. Again, you're valuable to you're not. So, when it comes to serving, though, for me at least, when it comes to disaster relief, when it comes to, volunteering in Fort Worth at the Literacy Center, teaching kids how to read, English as second language, just all the things that I'm involved in personally. I really enjoy just giving back because I have a servant's heart. At the end of the day, that's what fulfills me. I love to make a good, just to do good, just to do good for people, to do, because it always comes back to you. And I've been blessed in my life. So it's I mean, I can't tell you enough for me how important it is, whether it's just, helping somebody on the side of the road or just, giving back any way I can in a consistent way. It's very important to me. I just hold it personally, as I don't want to say a badge of honor, but more like a badge of fulfillment, right? It's just something that makes me feel better at the end of the day. Just to know that I did a little bit of something for someone else and I was a part of something bigger than myself. And it feels amazing. It fulfills you. It really does feed your soul. And those things, feeding your soul and filling your own cup before you try to fill other people's, to me, it's more important.
I imagine a lot of the people on the call here have that same mentality. They
Yes,
want
absolutely.
that you want, you guys all served. And I imagine the networking opportunities are incredible. You go on a trip like this with this shared experience, or you're going to meet a lot of really cool people. You'll have friendships that you didn't have before. Some of those might boost your career in some way. You might help somebody else with their career, but it's just such a deeper connection than the typical like show up to work and make friends, right?
Well, something personal I will share, that one of the things I missed the most when I got out of the military was the camaraderie. I really missed having those people that were my people. I mean, people that I could trust and count on to have my back every time, all the time, unconditionally. I knew they had my back. You do, if you're lucky enough to have that in the corporate world, let me just say you're in the top 5%. I've never felt that way in a job personally. I mean, I have my people right at my job. I mean, and I'm always kind and gracious, and people tend to be that way back to me. But you get a different sense of team when you're in the military, and you have to think of it. All of us here on the call are part of 1% of this population. The United States, less than 1% serve in the military. So you're in a very elite group of people, and you have a very elite mindset. So you have to understand that going out there, you have to understand that when you transition, they don't know what you did. They don't know what you've sacrificed. They don't know. They'll thank you for your service because it's a buzz phrase. And they may genuinely in some place be thankful for your service, but they have this societal mold that they expect you to fit into, that you won't fit into. And it's, so you need each other. You need people a network like Jordy's building here. You need this. I know I do. Personally, I really do need this. It's not I was lonely for a very long time, and it's a lonely place. When I worked at Next Bank, I was the only veteran in the entire organization. And that was weird, when you talk about excellence and you're in a place that rewards mediocrity to the point that being excellent makes you an outcast. People view you as a threat sometimes. You're going to run into that, and it's okay. I want to tell you that now, before you guys ever run into it or experience that. It's okay, because you have carried burdens far heavier than their judgment. So don't ever let what somebody who hasn't served their country or whatever, if you'll find those people that love you for it, and absolutely they'll idolize you for it, and they'll say, hey, what can I do? I love to, Team Rubicon, how can I be a part of that? And I think now civilians can be a part of it, but they just have to go through more training. But you're going to have those people too that just, they don't understand your mentality. They don't understand why you always show up at the exact same time, why you're a machine, every day, why you demand excellence, you perform in an excellent way. You're one of the highest performers there. You're going to run into that, and people don't understand it, and it makes people look inferior. But it's not you, and how people treat you is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. So I just want to, some of the things I'm sharing, some of the things that I ran into personally when I got out of the military, and I didn't understand. I didn't have that mentorship. So it was a very lonely time for me for a little while. But as we do, right, we power through it. I mean, we go, we move on. We are excellent no matter what. No matter what the condition is. I mean, I started looking at it like it's just like the military. It's just a different mission. It's just harder, and it's harder to sustain, but it's just a different mission. But that's,
Richard,
that's my
Richard,
two
go
cents.
ahead, bud.
No, that's my 2 cents. Just
thank you. Richard, go ahead. You got a question for Roy?
Hey, Roy, thank you for hopping on the call. I'm loving a lot of what you're saying right now. This is
awesome.
This is a great message, honestly, and some things that we don't really take account for once we leave the military. So it's great to hear for your perspective, of course. My question pertains to the actual events when you guys are going out to these areas, these disaster relief areas.
Oh yeah, Team Rubicon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Team Rubicon, yes, sir. Whenever you guys do that, is it like a week-long thing? And then if you guys are like doing the disaster relief, are you doing more of teardown instead of like building stuff back up? I was just curious about that.
So those are all great questions. And so it really depends on the mission. It really depends on what they have going on. It depends, again, on the type of disaster. So Team Rubicon sets a date, and they arrange it with the city, and they say, we're going to be there from, let's say, the 24th to the 31st, right? Or if it's a really big disaster, like this last Care County flooding thing, or like something in Puerto Rico, they may go for a month, or longer. I mean, it really just depends. So it's going to really depend on your availability, on when you can be there, but you can go and register. Like the site will have drop downs on when you can make yourself available, when you can be deployable. So based on when you're deployable, how often you're deployable. I mean, if you can only drive down for a couple of days, that's fine. They'll take the help that they can get. As long as you're deployable, you'll be able to work. Trust me, there's no shortage of volunteer opportunities. So, and Team Rubicon loves their people.
And a variety of tasks. Like when I went, I was more on like the rip them out of the walls, all the garbage out, but they had other.
Yeah, that's called a muck out.
Or like, they had what they call them, the Sawyer, like the Sawyers with the chainsaws, and all different, but they'll take, any skill set. Right.
And they post the need on there that they need. So they're going to need, so many people for chainsaw operations. They're going to need so many people for muck out. They're going to need so many people for going around and, talking to people and getting, just kind of getting recon, right? So a lot of times it really, again, it just depends on what their mission is there. But Jordy's right. There's tons of roles, tons of different kinds of work that's available. You just have to be, again, if you're a chainsaw person, you've got to be certified on a chainsaw. You've got to, if you're a muck out guy, that's really not much to that, right? You're going to go and you're just going to get shovels and start ripping stuff out of walls, but you're going to learn how to wear the proper PPE. I mean, if any of you guys are Navy or, Marine Corps, all of you guys went through training on PPE and, hazmat training and all kind of different stuff like that. So, it's really kind of just more of the same. Again, it's just a different mission, but you'll recognize a lot of the different types of training that you get.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun too, socially. Like we'd finish up, I forget what time, 5 o'clock, and then dinner, and then everyone stays up for another 5 hours and around the campfires.
And you feel useful, man. Like at the end of the day, you finish the day, you stink to high heaven, and there's freedom in that. There's freedom in that. There's just personal
Yeah.
freedom. You do a day of hard work, and you know you've done something good. You know you've done something, that people are always going to appreciate. You know you've done something that you can be an example for your kids and for your grandkids, and
Yeah.
I mean, just at the end of every day, I can't think of a day that I didn't end feeling like just full of accomplishment.
Yeah, you're not thinking about your problems. And
That's right. That's
whether
exactly right. That is a place to
Rubicon
go to
or
forget about your crap. That is true.
help other people. And whether it's Team Rubicon or any of the thousands of other nonprofits. So good. Michael, Kelly, go ahead, bud.
All right, Roy, thank you for being here. A couple questions. I'm going to kind of just put a couple of them together just for context. But what could you say about what you've seen from, because I've gone through the website and seen a couple different things, especially in the volunteer section, because we have a lot of IT folks on the call. I did notice that there's quite a section built out for IT and like the networks and stuff like that on the TR website.
I don't see a whole lot of opportunities for IT. Most of the stuff that they respond to, IT is more of a very, very aftermarket thing. You're talking, these guys go right after a disaster and they help people sometimes find their relatives. They're not thinking about infrastructure. They're not thinking about networks. They're not thinking about any of that stuff right away. So if there is an IT opportunity that comes up and that's attached to a project, it typically tends to be much later. But what I do is like I go to the corporate office and help with these tech kits and stuff like that. I mean, that kind of opportunity is available all the time. And if you were to go with Team Rubicon, you could get in touch with your leadership, whoever is your sponsor, like your person. You would get in touch with them for your local area, and you would just ask them like, hey, what kind of IT opportunities can I have? What kind of networking and stuff like that? What is there that I can do? Because it's great. It's also, aside from just being wonderful, it's also a great thing to have on your resume. It really is. Because it teaches you something about people coming together in teamwork. I actually offered for the city one time to have, a few of the IT team, the IT managers to go on a Team Rubicon deployment together. So we could actually do a team building and, get down in the dirt and actually have to work together when we didn't want to look at each other and, all that kind of stuff. Right. So, but yeah, of course that never came to fruition, but it's a really good exercise in, and not to get too far off track, but it's a really good exercise in knowing, who's going to be there for you, who you can be there for. But with regard to your IT question, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities out there, but I just don't go into it thinking that you're just going to volunteer for the IT stuff, because there's just not going to be that much.
All right. And my second on the staying with IT is if you could speak on your journey coming up through, especially like looking at your LinkedIn, seeing a lot of local focused IT, where like some are, eyes are to the sky with some of the biggest of organizations. And, it seems like you've found a niche in the local IT. And I know that's where I'm looking to go. And I was just curious to hear about your journey.
Sure, man. So I have, 10 years on my resume, right? That's what they asked for. And again, I've been out since 2007. Now, when I got out, I had a boss. Brief anecdote. I worked for TDS Automotive. It was my first job out of the military. Okay. And they house parts for Ford. Okay. So if, let's say you're looking at a Ford assembly line, a truck goes off of the assembly line every 1 minute. So every 60 seconds, a new truck rolls off. If something shuts down that production because they don't have parts, then it costs them $3,000 a minute. So, and that was then. It's probably triple that now. But if you don't have that up and running in 30 minutes, Ford starts charging you that $3,000 a minute as a parts warehouse. So you can imagine for them, it was a very high stress environment. I ended up getting fired 3 months after I started that job because my sense of urgency wasn't where they needed it to be. And I asked the boss, I said, I don't understand. I've never missed a 30-minute window. They said, yeah, but they say that you're walking, when you're going to different places. I'm like, I'm thinking, and they're saying, well, they're just saying that they when they tell you about a problem, they don't think you're responding urgently enough. So this guy's got, like, just to lay the background, like the picture for you, this guy's got like this jug of Tums on his desk, right? And but it's this huge high stress environment for them. And again, that you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of people think things are a really big deal that you don't think are a big deal, because it's like, you ever seen somebody shot up close? Like, that's stressful. Like, what you're talking about, like a 30-minute window, that's not too bad. No bullets are flying. Everybody goes home today. It's a good day, but unfortunately, the sense of urgency out here isn't quite the same as that. So anyway, so once I did that, I was like, I don't want a boss anymore. I just don't. I want to go into consulting. So I did. I consulted for a company called TMW Systems. They took me all over. I was in a different state every week for probably 3 or 4 years. Consulted, and then I got into a local consulting firm named LandSource, and I was there until probably 2013. And then once I used my networking. So once I was in that, we did everything. We had over 300 customers in the DFW area. So I touched all different kinds of networks, from law firms to, dentist office to, manufacturing companies to anything, you name it. And I used that network to get out there and meet people. And I ended up finding somebody who was looking for somebody full time. And he knew someone. I had a non-compete, so I couldn't just go directly from LandSource to one of their customers, of course. But he said, he introduced me to this one person, and I worked for him for a year until my non-compete was up. And then I ended up going to work directly for one of the hedge funds that was there. And then that kind of, the rest is history after that. So, but that's how I got into the local niche myself. I started out with consulting. So there was a whole lot of people, and it's an instant and free network. I mean, when you're consulting, you just meet so many different types of people. So working for a consulting firm is a really, if you're looking to make your bones in IT, you touch hundreds and hundreds of networks in 4 or 5 years. So it's a really good way to stay relevant, to make sure that you know what's out there. But that's what I did, and it ended up working for me.
Thank you, Michael. Was there someone else? I thought I saw a couple other hands that were up that went
Michael,
down.
did I answer your question?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Roy, thank you so much, man. I really loved this conversation today, because so many of our other speakers more just like, we're all so corporate heavy and get your job. But this talked about a whole other aspect, which is the volunteer part of, hopefully will be a part of everyone's life as we.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Servitude, it's where it's at. I mean, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and thank you for your sharing all the good and the bad about what you do, and that means a lot. I know that was
absolutely
super helpful.
If I can prevent someone going through
that,
just empty feeling of not having someone to turn to.
Yeah.
Because it's a real thing. I mean, there's a lot of vets that get out and, they don't get the help they need, and they don't get the networking they need, and it doesn't end well,
Right.
And I worked with, I also work with VFW, making sure that veterans who pass get their military funerals, those kind of things. So I love doing stuff like that. So if you guys ever want to reach out to me, please feel free to connect with me. Please feel free to, message me anytime. My Gmail account is on my LinkedIn. So if you want to email me, if you want to get together and just go have a beer, talk about things,
Thank you, man. You're a good man. I love it, Roy. Thank you for doing this, man. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. You got it. This was great. All right, everyone. That is a wrap for Monday. So I hope you guys liked those